Hundreds of people watched a UFO fly toward the president's ranch. The military said no jets were in the sky that night. 2 weeks later, they admitted there were 10. Stephenville, Texas, January 8, 2008. Dairy farms, pickup trucks. Population 15,000. It's the kind of town nothing happens to, ever. And then the sky lit up. Steve Allen is on his porch. He's a pilot, 30 years in the cockpit. Thousands of flight hours. He looks up, and what he sees doesn't make sense. A craft, half a mile wide, a mile long, strobing white lights across the front, red lights at the rear. And it's silent, completely silent. At a speed he later clocks at 3,000 miles an hour, Mach 4, over a small Texas town without a sound. A few miles away, Lee Roy Gaitan is in his yard. County constable, sworn officer, standing with his son. He sees the same thing. So do his neighbors. And they are not alone. The phones at the Stephenville Empire-Tribune start ringing. Pilots, ranchers, cops, veterans. Hundreds of independent witnesses, all across Aarith County, all describing the same massive, silent, impossible craft. So the press calls the Naval Air Station in Fort Worth. Standard question, were any military jets up there? And the spokesman says, no, none. Flat denial, on the record January 9th. 2 weeks pass. And then, quietly, the military reverses. 10 F-16s, training exercise. Their mistake, yeah, 10 fighter jets just slipped their mind. And here's what they did not volunteer. Witnesses saw the F-16s show up after the craft. The jets chase it, and the craft pulls away. Like the F-16s are standing still, so now we have a problem. If the military lied about being there at all, what else are they lying about? 6 months later, MUFON files and FOIA. They want the FAA radar tapes from that night. They get them, and the case explodes. 2 analysts go through the data. Schultz, Powell, they find an object with no transponder signal moving at 532 miles per hour, performing maneuvers no conventional aircraft can survive. And the flight path dead straight, toward Crawford Ranch, Crawford, Texas, 10 miles outside Waco. You probably know it as Bush's Western White House. In January 2008, Bush is the sitting president, and the airspace over that ranch is restricted. Temporary flight restriction zone. Any unidentified aircraft enters that zone, the military intercepts immediately. That is the rule. That is how it works, always. Except this time. The object came within 10 miles of the ranch, and the radar data just stops. Secret Service, Air Force, NORAD, the agencies whose entire job is protecting that airspace. Total silence, every one of them. Nobody acknowledged the radar. Nobody explained the trajectory. Nobody answered anywhere. And then there's Ricky Sorrells, local rancher. Saw the craft over his property multiple times. He says a man in a military uniform showed up at his house, told him to stop talking publicly about what he saw. He didn't stop. He kept talking loudly. MUFON ran one of the most thorough investigations in their history. 200 witnesses, 6 months, across the entire county, cops, pilots, ranchers, veterans. Same description every single time. So what was it? Honestly, we still don't know. The Pentagon now has an office for this. They call it AARO. They acknowledge UAPs are real, quietly. But on January 8, 2008, in a Texas dairy town of 15,000 people, hundreds of Americans watched something impossible. It flew toward the president, unchallenged, and the only people who could explain it never did. So what do you think they saw?